I've mentioned this many times in my talks that the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, had no private life. You know, we're always concerned about our privacy in today's time, right? We have private information that we don't want others to know about. It's exclusive to us. Everyone has a chapter that only we ourselves read. So there's some matters we don't want to make public. But the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, he had no private life. His life was all public. And how is that? When he was outside his home, the companions were observing and watching. How does he pray? And they recorded it. How does he interact with others? They documented it. They memorized it. They observed it. They watched him. And this is why we see minute details. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma is the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anh. Aisha radiyallahu anha says, if you want to see any of the companions who was a replica and who was a copycat and imitated the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, in any matter, then it's Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anh. To the extent that in matters that were not regarded as religious, he also imitated the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in those matters. And then she gives an example. She says that I know Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anh, he would go out on the outskirts of Medina, and there was a tree when the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, was alive. The Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, often sat under the shade of that tree. So Abdullah ibn Umar, he would go out of his way to water that tree. He would take a bucket of water and walk outside the outskirts of the city, where it was scarce, where water was scarce. It was desert land. At that time, they didn't have pipes and all the tanks and everything that we see today. So he would take the bucket of water and he would drop it at the location of that tree. And then he would sit under the shade of that tree. And people would say, what are you doing in the wilderness here, sitting under the shade of this tree? And he would say, I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, sit here, and I want to imitate him. I want to copy him in every matter. So the point I'm making is that the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, his actions are being described. And I'm explaining shadd al-mi'zar, which means the Prophet ﷺ tied his lower garment. So Aisha radiyallahu anha and many other companions radiyallahu anhum, they said that we saw his actions, that in the month of Ramadan it was exceptional. He put in so much time and effort and dedication. But in the last 10 days, it was beyond what we could understand. It was beyond what we could understand. Yataharrak, yajtahid. He would engage in the efforts, and he would put on his full in this time of the last 10 days and nights of the month of Ramadan. So I was saying the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, had no private life. When he was outside, people were watching him. When he went in his home and he closed the door, after he would come out, the Sahaba would knock the door and they would speak to the wives of the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, and they would say, Oh Aisha, tell us, how does the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, rest? How does he sleep? What does he eat? How does he take a bath? How does he make wudu? How many rakahs does he perform in his home? So he had no private life. Everything, all the masail, all the rulings about ghusl, about how to take a bath, how to make wudu, cleanliness, eating habits, all this are related to us by the family members of the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him. Majority of those narrations. So the Prophet ﷺ had no private life. So we are in a time where the blessings of Allah are being showered upon us. And we want to take advantage of this. And your coming here, your sitting here today, is a testimony that you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings. There's a narration where the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, describes the scenery of the Day of Judgment. And in the scenery of the Day of Judgment, the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, says, on the Day of Judgment, there will be a question that Allah will ask the angels, and the angels will be surprised. What is that question? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask, Aina jirani? Where are my neighbors? So the angels will be surprised that, Ya Allah, you have neighbors? Allah is not limited to a geographical space. we are limited to a geographical space. If we're here, we can't be at home at the same time. If we're here, we can't be somewhere else at the same time. We're limited to a geographical space. We're limited to time. We have limitations. Allah has no limitations. Allah is not limited to a geographical space. Allah is not limited to a certain time. He's everywhere. Allah mentions in the Quran, هُوَ الَّذِي, He is the being, فِي السَّمَاءِ إِلَهُ وَفِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَهُ. He is the very being that is in the skies, and He is the very being that is on this earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about His mercy spreading everywhere. So Allah is not limited to geographical space or time. So the question that Allah is asking, where are my neighbors? Because you can only, my neighbor will be the person who's next to me. I live somewhere, the people who are living in my vicinity, next to me, on my street, in my locality, they can be considered my neighbors. We're sitting here, the people around us are our temporary neighbors. And Allah speaks about this in the Quran, that there are rights and obligations over neighbors and upon us to neighbors. So Allah is not limited to geographical space. How is it possible that He has neighbors? The angels ask, well, who are your neighbors? Describe them to us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond, and He will say on the Day of Judgment, Ummarul Masajid, those people who frequented the masajid, they are the neighbors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So may Allah make us amongst His neighbors on the Day of Judgment. Say Ameen.